Welcome to the Fantasmagorium show presents Set to Stun. I am Scotty. I'm stuck in a subspace comm channel today. Shondra is in her quarters, and Steve is in engineering with the news. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Yeah, great.
It is a very special week this week. Do you know what happens on Wednesday?
Schools go back?
That may be a thing. Wednesday, September 8th is the 55th anniversary of Star Trek. It premiered on September 8th, 1966. Wow. And all of this week, I am just going to be bothering all of my friends and family with useless Star Trek knowledge. So I thought I would start today with you guys.
I love that. That's good.
Today, we're going to be sort of talking about and discussing our favorite offbeat, one-off Star Trek episodes from across the series. And then we're going to be talking about Mugato Gumeto.
Yeah.
The fourth? Yes, the fourth episode of the second season of Lower Decks. And I really, really like the title of the episode because it only hit me a little while ago that it is like tomato. Yep. It is Mugato Gumato. Yep. So I really, really enjoyed that. But before we get to any of that, Steve, what do you say we dive into the news?
Let's get into the news. Star Trek Picard wraps production on season 2, moving on to season 3.
Production on the second season of Star Trek Picard started in February in Los Angeles after the pandemic put a halt to the plans of starting last summer, and it looks like things wrapped up just this week. The confirmation came on Thursday via social media posts from members of the crew. An Instagram post from digital imaging technician Ryan Kunkelman showed off a clapperboard for the 10th and final episode of season 2. His message read, in part, "That's a wrap on season 2." Season 2 of Picard features the return of Star.
Very mysterious.
Very, very mysterious. Season 2 of Picard features the return of star Sir Patrick Stewart in the title role, along with co-stars Alison Pill as Agnes Urati, Issa Briones as Soji Asha, Evan Evagora, I've never had to pronounce that before, as Eleanor, Michelle Hurd as Raffi Mussaker, and Santiago Cabrera as Chris Rios. Also returning are Jerry Ryan as 709 and Brent Spiner, presumably as Alton Soong. Season 2 will feature John Delancey as Q, and it was just announced that Annie Wershing will be playing the Borg Queen. Wow. Reports indicate that the plan is to transition to production on season 3 immediately.
Nice.
Well, I didn't know about Brent Spiner. I heard a leak about John Delancey saying that he had worked with Pat and Brent previously. And so it's interesting now that there is a confirmation. This came from trekmovie.com.
So you have to I think I'm pretty, up to snuff with my Star Trek knowledge, but I don't know who Alton Soong is.
Oh, Alton Soong would be Data's brother, another son of Dr. Noonien Soong, was in the final 2 episodes on the android planet of Picard season 1.
That's why. Okay, my fault. I had no idea who that Alton Soong was.
Oh no,
I figured it. Right. I figured it was. You know what? One of my favorite actresses is Alison Pill. I think she's just a delight. So every time she's on screen, I'm there for it. So this makes me this whole thing makes me happy. I'm not a big fan of this series, but seeing Jerry Ryan back, seeing that John Delancey's back, we're gonna get some Q. This just makes it fun for me.
Season 2 is looking exciting.
Yeah, whether or not it's going to be really good or not, we'll see. But I am a little excited for it.
Yeah, as am I. I'm looking to see where they move forward in I suppose I should just refer to it as Picard. Calling it not Picard is kind of snarky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the season is going to have Q and the Borg Queen.
Mhm.
Can you really fuck this up?
well,
No,
I
my
hope
French,
not.
but can you?
No, I hope not. I mean, they can't. Well, leave it to a bad reboot to screw it up. But I'm hoping not.
They better not.
Yeah.
It is always the hope that good Star Trek is on its way. What's up next there, Steve?
But not only that, the Borg Queen will appear on Star Trek Picard Season 2, played by Annie Wershing.
Star Trek Picard.
I'm sorry, Scotty. That's how you pronounce her name, Wershing?
I believe so. If
Okay,
not,
thank you.
Sorry, Annie.
I apologize.
Star Trek Picard has been back in production since February, but we've just learned, as it was announced last Thursday, about a classic character who will be turning up in season 2. The Borg Queen returns. Actress Annie Wershing is playing the Borg Queen in Star Trek Picard season 2. The news was first reported by Deadline. Wershing has a recurring role, appearing in multiple season 2 episodes.
Yay.
The character of,
Mm.
well, not quite yay, Shondra. It's not you.
Oh, well, yeah. It would be better if I was playing her, but
Of course.
I really like this actress, so
Yeah,
it's
me
okay.
too.
Okay. The character of the Borg Queen was originally created to provide a villain who could personify the Borg Collective for the 1996 film Star Trek First Contact and was played by Alice Krige. The character returned in a number of episodes of Star Trek Voyager, played by Susanna Thompson, and Krige returned to play the Queen in the Voyager series finale Endgame in 2001. The Queen fits into some of the hints we have seen about season 2. First Contact was about the Borg going back in time to stop the first contact between humans and Vulcans. From previously released trailers, all indications are that season 2 of Picard will also deal with time travel and or alternative timelines. Another hint came today from showrunner Terry Matalas, who tweeted, "Watch your future's end," a line of the Queen said to Captain Picard in First Contact. Now,
Nice.
speaking of recasting and how it's not Shondra,
Yeah.
is Alice Krige still around? Is it possible to get the original? Obviously, it's beyond our control at this point.
Wow.
I'm just curious as to why they didn't bring back Alice Krige.
I'm a big fan of Alice Krige, by the way.
Mhm.
I think she's awesome. I thought she was a great Borg Queen. But I'll tell you what, I know this actress that's coming on, Ginger, little red hair, and she is amazing. She does
Alice
great
is a ginger
TV
too.
work. Yeah, but she does very good TV work, and maybe that's just it. I mean, I'm speaking out of turn. Who knows? But maybe Alice was just not available.
Because if you look at her, she's aged gorgeously. Like, she's still a stunning woman. And
Oh yeah.
we were having this debate earlier: do Borg age? How do
Right.
they age?
And yeah, is it slow? Is it slower because there's nanites present in the bloodstream, or how does that work?
And I mean,
Well-
quite frankly, if you look at Alice, she has aged phenomenally.
Yeah,
So she could pull it off, if you ask me.
sure.
Well, and when we were going over the Next Generation movies, I was going through some of the press junket interviews from '96, and oh my stars, was she dripping of sexuality when she was
hell
in
yeah.
the
Come on.
interviews. Let alone her performance in the film proper. I was just curious because
So
being
you know
a
who else
show-
played a Borg Queen was Susanna Thompson, who is
Yes.
another amazing actress.
Oh.
She played the Borg Queen. She was the first Borg Queen in TNG in the show.
Susanna Thompson, she was in
Yeah.
Voyager.
I'm sorry. Yeah. My fault. Yeah, in Voyager, and yeah.
Ooh.
and she played a Romulan
Really?
early on.
Yeah.
in the TNGs.
I have a
show.
picture of her. She was actually also, oh gosh, what is this alien? Can't remember the name, but it's like the ridges. They actually had it. I think this was one of the species that they had in episode 4 of Lower Decks.
Oh, was she a Denobulan?
I'm not sure if that's what it is.
Well, denobulin would be the ones that are featured at the beginning of this episode. I know that Annie was in.
She was also a Trill.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Susanna Thompson's been in a lot of Star Trek.
She has. Wow. She's
Yep.
been 4 different characters.
Yeah.
And pulling them off beautifully. It
Yep.
looks completely different on all
Well,
of
she's a
them.
beautiful woman. She's a great
Yeah.
actress.
Absolutely.
But it's just and just coming back to Alice Krieger and how she has aged so gracefully, I'm wondering perhaps it's a matter of unavailability. But when we have been sort of discussing Picard, and it is a television show about aging and the changes over time, I just found it interesting that they were recasting to a younger actress. And if it is scheduling conflicts, then I'll keep my cattiness to myself.
Right.
But
But if it's not
she's not-
scheduling conflicts, then there's going to be
But
going on.
she's not amazing. She's not like 18.
No.
Yeah, she's
But
not.
But Picard is what, 94? They said 94 at one point in the
Yeah.
series.
Yeah.
And so if Borg aged, now this is an if, I will give you that. If Borg aged, which 7 of 9, she aged as an
Mhm.
adolescent to an adult
Mhm.
in the collective. So was she forced to age? Like what happened there? It seems as though Borg do actually age. They're at least their biological aspects. So why would they need to recast someone as younger? Is what I would really like to know. And
Well, and also-
if it's a whole sexism thing, then
Inquiring
I'm gonna get my
minds.
bitch on.
Yeah, right.
But
I don't think it's a sexism thing. I hope not.
I hope not.
Anyways, I hope not.
No. And again, it's all rampant speculation coming
Yes.
from
Yes,
this flat
very
we have no
cartoon
insider
character head.
knowledge yet. We don't know. But these are great. They're great ladies. They're great actors,
All
and
of them.
you know, I can't. It makes me, I'm not the biggest fan of Picard, but it makes me want to see the next, episodes.
Fair
So.
enough.
Well, and as we've discussed before, every episode that I've seen of Picard, I've watched it, I've enjoyed it, and at the end of every episode, the people who were sitting on the couch with me got to hear me proclaim quite loudly, "That was good, but it wasn't Star Trek."
Right.
And so
That's not real Star Trek.
Ah,
That's not
So-
real Star Trek.
I look forward
That's
to
some
watching
Kelvin
it.
timeline bullshit.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
the more I think about it, the more I feel like the episodic nature is what makes it feel authentic Star Trek.
For Lower
you know
Decks.
what?
Lower Decks, TNG, Deep Space Nine,
It's,
Voyager,
you're
the Orville, which I know
100%.
isn't Star Trek.
Yeah, but you know what? You're 100% right.
Yeah.
The episodic nature of those at least those runs.
Mhm.
I think you're right. It makes it feel they're condensed into short little cool stories instead of some of the longer arcs like in Deep Space Nine, which I really liked. I really love
And it's
those.
great to have
but-
arcs, but they still had one-offs. Which, if we're done
They
with
did.
the news, this is a
Yeah.
great segue because
Yep.
we're talking about one of the one-offs today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, then
Yeah.
shall we begin discussing our offbeat one?
Yeah, I will take my leave and thank you guys very much. We'll come back and we'll talk about the comments, but thanks for having me for the first the first little bit of the show, and I will take my leave and have a good show.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Steve. Talk to you soon. All righty, Roo. This little topic started bubbling up when I posted something to your Facebook wall, if I'm not mistaken, and that was a Jerry Fogarty song called Center Field, mashed up with my favorite parts of the Deep Space Nine episode, Take Me Out to the Holosuite,
Yeah.
which is, in my mind, a heartwarming, fun, one-off, just run around the bases.
You know that Picard meme? That's what I'm
Yes.
feeling right now.
I am.
I mean,
I've kind of
no.
been-
Why?
Okay, well, and let's just start off with Take Me Out to the Holosuite. Why did you not favor the baseball episode of Deep
It's
Space
cringe.
Nine?
it is pure cringe the entire episode. I don't understand why it even exists. It's a petty Vulcan being petty and emotional while trying to be all logical, and they're trying to like make it all sweet, and like you're saying the words that it's like heartwarming, and like all I hear is campy,
Yes.
cringy,
Okay.
and why. That's all I get out of it. And I rewatched it to confirm this for myself.
Mhm.
And no, I can't get on board with this episode. It was so forced, in my opinion, trying to like make them feel more like a team and a family. I mean, also the fact that I can't stand Ezri, so like that's
That
just
is
another
true.
thing. I just don't want her in that episode. I like there's just I can't find anything I like about it. I'm just gonna be honest. We're so opposite on this page right here. I
Okay,
just
okay.
can't.
And so but while we continue trying to find common ground, let's play a game of diplomat where we're both dissatisfied with the agreement.
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that Solok is a racist Vulcan, and you don't tend
So
to get
racist.
that. Especially when dealing with the
tend to get
Vulcans.
that. Most
Well, no-
Vulcans are very we're better than humans. They all seem kind of racist. I'm gonna be
No,
honest.
but they seem to be, Vulcans are by their virtues, they are already physically superior based on the gravity of Vulcan. They are intellectually superior, and they feel that they are superior because of their discipline surrounding their passions. Now, I've never seen one outwardly say Vulcans are better. In fact, the only time that there was blatant racism between Vulcans and a human, not the only time, if you don't count the entire series of Enterprise, but on the original series, it was usually Dr. McCoy hucking crap at Spock about how the differences were, and you think you're so superior, and Spock would just sort of counter with I can't argue with the facts. Sorry, Doctor. And so this was the first time that it was a vindictive Vulcan.
Okay.
But
I'm just gonna I gotta interject here. The
Please.
thing is like I can't argue with the facts I've heard that particular argument from racist humans on Earth here.
Okay.
When comparing and it feels a little it still feels racist, like, well, we all are different. It's just the facts. And that's something I've heard from human beings in modern Earth that I'm just like, and there are individual humans who could possibly, like, I don't know, say an Olympic athlete and some couch potato Vulcan. I'm pretty sure a human Olympic athlete will whoop the ass of a couch potato Vulcan. Maybe they weren't raised on Vulcan with the extra gravity
heat,
or
thinner atmosphere. Yep.
Maybe they're the ADHD kid of their class who can't focus and doesn't do any of the work. You know, it's just, you're talking about like in general, they're a lot more with strength and they're a lot more with intelligence and blah, blah, blah. But like, what about the ones who don't pun far? And like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, they're totally like crazy and let loose. And really, if you go back far enough, Romulans.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but they come from the same freaking origins. So
thousands of years apart, I suppose.
Don't care. Thousands of years, not that long.
Well, not in an evolutionary scale,
exactly.
no. But to be fair, and I understand what you're saying in terms of the modern, to make the parallel between modern racist humans who I'm using phrenology. There are different bumps in skulls and things, and that's really weird. But they do go out of their way to make Solok seem racist.
Oh, he's super racist. He's super.
So
he's like KKK level.
Yeah.
Only Vulcan crew.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's got a full Vulcan crew. Which isn't a first in Starfleet. I think the Intrepid did.
Solok was an asshole, by the way.
Yes, I'm not arguing that, because he went and he tried to. He went to go and shove baseball down Ben Sisko's throat, and it's like, you're going to challenge me at my game?
Yeah,
and
he only learned it for that.
Yeah, and the entire impetus for the episode, you're right, it is, first of all, it's a season 7 episode. They are smack dab in the middle of a war, and they decide to go and have a fun little baseball game. I appreciated that they all get together. I like how everybody gets into their roles. I like how Odo is the umpire. I like how Rom is sort of like one of the bad news bears who just cannot win. And then when he does get the bunt, it is almost like that baseball or the softball episode of the Simpsons. So
I'm sorry, it was cringe. That was predictable and extra cringe.
all right, well, I've been put in my place. Tell me about something that you love so I may shoot it out of my airlock.
Okay, let's go right to the interesting what
Sure.
was the words you used for these episodes?
The offbeat one-off
Offbeat.
episodes.
You know what? Okay. There's no ranking because they're just so different and you can't really rank these.
Mhm.
So let's go with like one of the weirdest. That was, I would say it was close to, yeah, it's just weird. Voyager's Spirit Folk. It's an episode where it's an Irish town in a
Oh my
holodeck.
god. Yes.
And then the like nod to all Moriarty episodes, they start to like get conscious, I guess. And they're like accusing the crew of Voyager of becoming witches because they can like disappear at whim. And like, I love how the Doctor comes in and he tries to be a priest and he tries to be like, they're not witches and do. And it all goes to hell. It's so weird. Well, I don't understand the purpose of that episode in Voyager, just like I don't understand the baseball episode. It's just random. Why?
Well, and also considering in Voyager how they did establish early on, like they had to go into a nebula to get enough energy or specific kind of matter or antimatter so that they could make coffee. But they have a holodeck running 24/7 with a quaint Irish town to the point that Janeway falls in love with, I apologize if this is an Irish stereotype name, but I can't even remember the character's name, with Paddy O'Brien. And then they have to modify everything. Like, is that the same? No, it's a different episode, same town.
Yeah, same town. Yeah.
And Kate is modifying the brain of Paddy O'Brien to be more like her ideal dude.
So I mean, I get that they're disconnected from the rest of their community. You know, they're cut adrift, and one of the few resources they have abundance of apparently is the holodeck. I love that they wrote this in there. So they're really using it, whether it's pool halls or like Irish cities. It just seems and what is with all the holodeck characters getting consciousness? Like Moriarty was the worst of it, if you will, but then like, let's burn the witches.
Yeah, but it made a little bit more logical sense on Voyager simply because one of your main characters on Voyager is a sentient hologram.
I guess that's true, but he was running for so long. Like it wasn't like Moriarty, it wasn't like the Irish town. It was just he was like on and on and on and on and on, and like the interactions and he was surrounded by like people and aliens and everything. So he was surrounded by conscious beings. So that makes more sense, similar to like Data. It's about exposure, I guess. But the holodecks themselves, they didn't really have that much exposure, if you ask me. And the programming also wasn't his program was made to learn. Same with Data. It's made to actually absorb these differences and emotions and like to try to understand. He was all about trying to understand. So was the Doctor. But the holodecks were about stay in your bubble, stay in your lane. Although I do have to say randomly that Badgie.
Yes.
Best one of all the holodecks.
The best evil Oh, right. We haven't even seen Badgie. Oh, my stars.
When is Badgie coming back?
I want my Badgie back.
Right. He needs to come back.
So dovetailing off of your weird Voyager holodeck episode, I would be remiss if I didn't say anything about Bride of Chaotica.
Oh, that's not on my list.
Bride of Chaotica, when Tom Paris decides to be Captain Proton. And
oh my god, right, I completely forgot about that one.
And it's really, and also I think that's later season. I'm not 100% sure which season it was, but the tropes that they play with it in terms of being old-timey science fiction in black and white, and it I don't remember 100% if it did have those big of stakes. Like, it wasn't a Moriarty situation,
Right.
but it was definitely sort of a, so what are we doing? What are we doing? And this was the point in Voyager where Tom Paris was rebuilding a holographic car, and everything was about the 20th century, and that's just what his jam was now. It was an interesting time for Tom Paris and his plugging in VHS tapes to relive the old days. Almost a meta commentary, but I really, whenever the Bride of Chaotica or Captain Proton, and I want to say Harry Kim was Bucky, but I don't think that's right. It was fun. It was
yeah, that is a good episode. I completely forgot about it until you just brought it up, but I love Janeway in that.
Yeah. Oh, and again, like, Kate Mulgrew is fantastic.
Yes.
What's
your next
episode?
what do you have next on your list of things that are just weird? Why does this belong here?
If I can ask a question, what's the episode where Janeway goes like back in time and to Earth?
Oh,
like
no, she doesn't go back in time. It's like a flashback to one of her ancestors with the Millennium Gate.
Yes, the Millennium Gate.
Mm-hmm. And they're just building this tower in this town.
Yeah, so I like Shattered and Relativity.
Is it Time and Again?
Favorite episodes, but that one is really cool.
Let me see.
Is it the Time and Again one?
I can't remember the name, but it's really good.
It's the episode is called 1159.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
So many
there
time
we go.
travel episodes.
Yeah.
And you know what? This brings me to 3. 3 is my favorite episodes, and they all fall into this time travel thing.
Okay.
I don't even know how to organize them. I would say my favorite, which is hard to say because the second is like so like, oh man, it's so hard. I can't, no ranking. Okay. Little Green Men.
Oh, that was on my list too. Yeah.
Yes, it's so good, isn't it?
Yes.
It's so weird, but like when they're cleaning each other's ears and the humans are like, what are they doing? Is it like a mating ritual thing? That just made me crack up so hard. Because they're trying to fix their
Quark's shuttle that had been
yes. But they're trying to fix, oh my god, what is the word? My brain. This is why I shouldn't do
the universal translator.
Yes, thank you. The translator. That's the word I was looking for. But it was so cute and hilarious. I loved that episode.
It was amazing. Although I did see a recent YouTube video talking about the cringe factor of Nog sort of fooling Nurse Faith Garland into giving him Umox.
Oh yeah, that's total cringe. It's completely like, even back then I was just like,
I believe he just got him to touch her no area. Anyway.
Yeah, totally gross.
But I mean, aside from that being back in time and then Quark hatching the plan to take over the like, we can take over Earth now, like the Borg, like there's even a reference to First Contact. It's like, oh, we could do this.
It's great. That is one amazing episode.
Okay. But so that was one of 3.
Yeah, and then Trials and Tribulations.
Also on my list.
Because they're so good. I mean, that one, like, I am not huge on the original Trek, as we've established. At the same time, I loved them going back in time and like the nod to the Klingons changing and the fact that they changed again in Discovery. And like and just all the little tropes that they put in and like the exploding Tribble.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't know what it is, but I love the idea of a Tribble taking everyone out. I know it didn't happen. I know they saved it, but I was like, maybe they'll actually like get exploded. When I first watched it, it'd be so cool.
Well,
I know.
And it also it not to completely interrupt, but it does get to Trouble with Tribbles for me as well, and it's tied specifically into this episode because. Now, whenever I get to the end of the episode and the Tribbles are falling out of the chute from the grain, and I'm just like, yeah, that's Dax and Cisco throwing Tribbles at Kirk.
Yeah,
it's great.
right. Oh, it's too funny. And then my third, because time travel is amazing. I could maybe we should just do a whole thing about time travel episodes because there's so many. But Deep Space Nine again pulls it out with past tense. Now this one's not really like offbeat, campy, but you don't really need it in the main storyline, like to continue it. It's technically 2 episodes. It's not a 1-off. It's a 2-off. But like the political aspects and like touching onto the real world issues and like homelessness and segregation and the class system and like really the world right now should watch this episode. I'm gonna say it. I'm just gonna be political for a second. Everybody watch this episode because like splitting people apart based on anything just doesn't work. It doesn't work. And then I really loved how the one guy, I can't remember, I think his name was Bill or Ben or like whatever the guy that Cisco was supposed to end up, he ended up taking over and becoming him. And then he changed.
Gabriel Bell.
Yes, Gabriel Bell. I knew there was a B. I didn't know if it was the first name or last name, but thank you. It was, I just really liked that episode for the political factors and touching into the real world, but also it was really well written and it was well made. The 2 episodes, I should say. Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. And it is, I do think that it gets a little on the nose with its messaging, but apparently in the production of those 2 episodes at the same time in California, there was talk of something similar to sanctuary districts as they were making that episode. And they were like, oh, okay, we were writing about a dystopic future in 2023, by the way, coming up real soon. And this is a little too eerie of art imitating life or vice versa.
Yeah.
That episode is so good, but that 2 episode arc, and then they touch back on it later on. The Cisco, it's so profound in a way that they weren't doing a lot of that kind of stuff in TV back in 93 or 4 when this happened. It's one of my favorite episodes. Just the fact that Cisco it goes back. He's like a science fiction writer. That whole
that one too, yeah.
That is cool too. So, anyways, I just wanted to chime in with that. But yeah,
yet another time travel type. Although that was it alternate reality or
well, nobody knows, right?
That's true.
Well, I would say it's a Paul Wraith vision meant to mess with the dedication of Cisco, but for us, the audience, it was definitely a commentary on racism and the place and sexism. Like the Kira Nerys, her stand-in was basically a stand-in for Dorothy Fontana from the original series. How she had Kira's character had to publish under a man's name because no one would believe a female science fiction writer. Not just with Benny Russell, pardon me. But yeah, that is on my list. I was going to save it for last because I thought
I'm sorry.
Save with a pow, but it is kind of that is definitely a thought-provoking, but amazing episode as well.
This is what I love about the writing in Star Trek. And when everybody says, why don't you like the new Star Trek, is because they don't write them like these.
Yeah.
They don't write them like this anymore. We forgot how to tell allegory, and I say this all the time, or metaphor, and to be able to tell stories in that way without pushing. We're not telling you how to believe or what to think. We're just telling you or asking you to think.
Yes.
It's a totally different thing, right? Well, so anyways, I'll let you guys go. I'm sorry, Scotty. I kind of stumbled on your yum. I didn't mean to be yuck on your yum, but
no, not at all. Not at all. Like, I'm happy to have you, Steve.
But yeah, so I love that episode and these other episodes. It's funny that we keep coming back to Deep Space Nine for some reason. Oh, maybe you guys can talk about that.
Stories. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and also not necessarily a highlight of Far Beyond the Stars. The only Star Trek in all of Star Trek that I'm aware of that drops the N-word.
Oh,
Yeah. And
wow.
completely with purpose, in terms
Yeah.
of discussing their like, I think it's the character played by Sirach Lofton, who's not Benny Russell's son in the flashback or whatever it is,
Mhm.
but he does say and there is the fame aspect of Michael Dorn playing the baseball player and how he is basically only in his position in life based on his athletic ability, and if he weren't that, he would just be another
Yeah.
racial epithet.
Yeah.
And so it's a very thought-provoking. It is a one-off. I wouldn't necessarily call it a what is it doing here, but
Yeah,
I
I felt like it made sense.
Mhm.
It wasn't random. It helped highlight the fact that modern society of Deep Space Nine's era, at least, it wasn't questioned that a black man was a captain or a commander, rather, later captain. But like that's just fine and that's normal and that's perfectly acceptable. But if you go back in time, like the struggles that people had to overcome, it's important to acknowledge that.
Well, and not that this is even on my list, although I did think about it because it was just becoming you want to talk about interesting off the beaten trail Deep Space Nine episodes, but and I think it's a seventh season episode as well, is the holodeck episode where they have to go and do the Ocean's 11 style heist to save Vic Fontaine's casino, and Cisco's like, I don't want to play. I do not want to play this game. And everyone is like, why is Captain Cisco being such a jerk about this? And there's a conversation between he and Cassidy Yates, and Cisco is like, do you know what the 60s were like for black people?
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
does. And again, it gets a little on the nose with the messaging, but it's absolutely accurate
And I don't
in
think there's
terms
any
of
problems
that.
with being on the nose.
Oh, no, not at all. I'm just an observation, I'm going to run through a couple because we still got to get to Mugatu Gamato. But I do really like, and this isn't sort of off the beaten trail in terms of the story, but very much so because of the performances. I love Body and Soul on Voyager simply because of, and if you do not remember, Body and Soul is the episode where the doctor's program gets downloaded into Seven of Nine's implants, and Jerry Ryan does the best Robert Picardo acting next to Robert Picardo. Amazing. And just to be able to see her indulge in cheese, like all these things that the doctor had never encountered before, like alcohol and cheesecake, and sort of like that later seasons episode of Next Generation where the three aliens are experiencing things for the sake of experiencing things.
Yeah.
But it's Jerry Ryan acting like Robert Picardo experiencing these things. Just an absolute delightful episode for a character turn that you don't see very often.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was, I really enjoyed that. For another two-parter that's not necessarily comic relief, but one of my two favorites from Enterprise is the two-part In a Mirror Darkly, where we don't even get a prime universe starting point. The entire opening is changed as to what would have happened. Like the cold open on the first episode is First Contact from the movie First Contact, and the Vulcan steps out of the ship, and Zephyr Cochrane pulls out a shotgun and blows them away. And then you see they go to the opening credits, and it's like war, destruction, moving out into the galaxy, and it is a mirror universe double episode. I love it. Whenever I tell people to start watching Enterprise, I say you should watch that first, and they always say, but I have no frame of reference as to who these people are if they're good. And I'm like, yeah, I guess you're right. Give it like a season, but it's amazing. It is great.
It is good.
And
I love Enterprise. So yeah.
And it starts off as like an Enterprise mirror universe episode, but you find out from the Tholian Web, the Constitution class starship from the 23rd century got shot back in time. And then spoilers, one of the main cast of the Enterprise, like the senior officers, ends up becoming the Empress of the Terran Empire. And so it is. Oh, if you haven't seen it, Shondra, you're familiar. You're familiar enough with the characters on Enterprise. You gotta give that a look see.
Sounds good. I love all of the Mirror Universe stuff. Like all.
Yeah,
of it.
they're so fun.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I when you guys were talking, I was thinking back to another DS9 episode again because they're so good. I love the when Cisco and his son are the focus of the show. I think it's hitting on all cylinders. So do you remember what's I can't remember the name of the episode, but Captain Cisco builds a ship.
Yes.
Like and him and his son go on this voyage on this weird, spaceship that breaks down halfway, to the destination, but the destination wasn't the best part, right? It was the journey, right? The journey was, I don't know, man. Those kind of episodes when it's heartfelt, and I just think those land really hardcore for me.
Those make sense to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whereas my last one is like completely opposite end of the spectrum.
And go ahead.
Next Generation, Genesis, where everyone was like
morphed
into what the hell. Like Deanna Troi was like a frog.
Oh yeah.
Worf was like a Cthulhu looking poison. What the heck was he? And like, why did one of the human types, like it's supposed to be de-evolving, why was he a spider thing?
Yeah,
like, where were all the monkeys? And this doesn't make it. And then I'm sorry, I have to like merge this into Voyager's Threshold, where like Paris was like de-evolving, and he like with a de-evolved.
Well, Enterprise did an episode like this too, where they de-evolved. I'm like, oh, why do they do this?
What I want to know is what happened to Paris and Janeway's babies.
Right?
They just left him on a planet.
Yep.
Never speak of it again.
Yeah.
Well, I always have this theory that Chakotay wanted to get with Janeway, even though that's not what happened. And so I think at that time when Threshold came out, he was like, maybe Kate doesn't need to know about this stuff. And so he he just left them there. They were basically salamanders. They were well cared for.
They brought Paris and Janeway back to being humans. Why wouldn't their babies then be human? Like, if the genetic coding is there, they could have done it. They just abandoned a bunch of babies and never speak of this again.
Well, but speaking of things that have never been spoken of again. Remember the Doctor's family in that one holodeck episode, and his daughter dies, and then it's like,
I completely forgot about that one. Yeah,
and it's like, oh my god, and we will never speak of them again,
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
After the entire emotional journey that the Doctor went on, but I don't want to end the list with with the death of a holographic Doctor. So, and I'm going to try and lighten it up just a little bit, but I got to say, there's got to be some love for a piece of the action. I love a piece of the action.
Come on, that's fun. That's just a fun episode.
Chandra, you know the episode. It's an original series episode. They go back to Sigma Iosha 2, I think, and it is the gangster planet.
The gangster.
Oh, okay.
They did, and they redid this kind of in Next Generation 2, right, Scotty?
I think it was a holodeck episode, though. But yeah, and they go, and that's the one where they sort of go into the Maltese Falcon for an episode.
Yes.
I love
You're all about the campy, aren't you? I think that's what we're getting here.
If we start talking about like the hard-hitting standalone episodes, or even just like the most powerful episodes, we can talk about the other stuff. But when this whole thing got kicked off based on the baseball episode, I thought we were sort of opening the door to the camp.
Totally.
I went in the camp direction too, but you're absolutely. You're right for it.
I was prepared. But that episode when Captain Kirk, first of all, when Spock is sitting there in like full gangster stuff, and he's trying to get all the other bosses so that Scotty can beam them, so they have to get one of the gangsters to phone the other gangsters, and the guy's like, "Oh, that's a pretty good trick, you beaming them over here." And Spock just stops and it's like, "I'd advise you to keep dialing," and it's like that is the Spock is that's a humor being in this silly situation. I love it. But there is a part where Kirk is trying to teach a card game to a bunch of thugs, goons,
right?
And
goons.
There is just one. There's a line reading from Shatner that is one of my favorite, where he's dealing out cards, trying to explain this nonsensical game, and then the guy gets the card, and Shatner just drops like a "How lucky you are," and it is the best way. I don't know. It just has such joie de vivre. It makes me
joie de vivre. Look at you with the words.
I know. So yeah, and then I guess I have some honorable mentions. Not all of them are campy, but like I thought Data.
Oh, can I tell you my number one?
Yeah, please.
Before you get into that, it's Carbon Creek. Now, I know, Shondra, you're not a big Enterprise fan, but Carbon Creek is a great episode. T'Pol basically tells the story of her ancestor,
and played by Jolene Blaylock.
And beautifully played by that. But the First Contact and Trip and the captain are like, that's Zephyrin Cochrane was First Contact. She's like, no. This is what First Contact really was. And it was a really good it's one of my favorite episodes. So.
Well, and that's perfect. Steve, thank you so much. I think that brings the whole Vulcan circle all the way around. It is about the Vulcans going back to the 50s. I think Tamir invents Velcro, right?
Yes. Yes, she does.
So one of the Vulcans does. But it's a really interesting episode. It is sort of a one-off throwaway episode.
Totally one-off.
And it does deal with sort of the tensions between Vulcans and humans, which Enterprise was really good at, and how the eventual sort of coexistence and cooperation between humans and Vulcans occur, because there is a crew member who's like, I want to stay. I want to stay.
I want to stay here. I think that these humans have something to offer. I don't think they're not worth studying or not worth saving in a way. So I love it for that. The writing in that episode is stellar. And the story's cool. Whether it really happened or not, I don't know. But and T'Pol says it might not have happened, but at the end she has a relic from maybe her grandmother, great grandmother, great grandmother. I don't know, but it's really
one of her
cool.
ancestors just go to Earth one time and be like, "I'm going to take this and make a story."
Right. But it's really cool. And so Carbon Creek, I think, is, if we're talking about one-offs, this is way up there for me. So anyways, thank you.
Thank you. So I think the only thing that I've learned really is next time we make a list about one-off episodes, I gotta tighten this up. This is having a coloring book and have complete disregard for the lines.
Scott, there's so many good ones. That's why.
Yeah.
There's so many good ones.
And that's what the new series need. They need some kind of one-off.
Yeah. Yeah, they need to play. You need to color outside of the sandbox to mix my metaphors.
Yep.
Well, and the only one that I can think of in terms of Discovery is the one where Harry Mudd keeps flipping time again and again and again to try and kill Lorca. That's the only one that I can think of that was truly a standalone. I watched that episode in the first season and I was like, now this is a Star Trek episode.
Right.
That was the one.
By the way, thank you both for your recommendation for What We Left Behind.
Oh, great.
I watched it and it was so good.
Oh, nice.
So good. So before I let you guys talk about this week's episode, I just want to say thank you for recommending that, because I watched it and I loved it. It's great.
It's a really neat yearbook.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys do that, and we'll talk again soon.
All right.
Okay. All right. Let's see. We've chewed up a lot of time talking about Star Trek episodes that we love on this Star Trek show. So I'm sorry for keeping you. Let's talk about episode 4 of season 2, Gumado. Yes. Sure. Let's run with that. Were
there like 4 different ways to pronounce it?
There are a lot of different ways to pronounce it. And before I even get into it, the only reason that it is multiple pronunciations is because when this horned ape showed up in the original series in the first place, DeForest Kelley couldn't pronounce it either.
That's awesome. That's
great. The script, it was like Mogatu, but he pronounces it Mugato. And so it always got flipped around in that episode. And that's where the backstory for the title and the mispronunciation comes from. Anyway, we start off the episode and Boimler and Rutherford are heading to the gym for some Ambu Jitsu. Oh my God, the ultimate form of martial arts from Captain Riker, formerly Commander Riker, and his dad. But anyway, they're going to go for some Ambu Jitsu, and Mariner wants to go and join them. Rutherford and Boimler have been practicing, and so they start to kick Mariner's ass until Mariner gets into it and realizes that she can unload her full potential. Shax walks in to witness both Sam and Brad getting their ass kicked by Beckett.
I love how helpful he is.
Well, it's calisthenics. You don't know what's going on. That's what they're into. So we go, over the opening credits. Oh, also, I think they added some Klingon bird of praise to the beginning Borg battle at the beginning. They keep throwing ships into this Borg battle. Anyway.
I just got skipping it.
Oh, yeah. I can't skip intros. Anyway, we start off the episode. We're on a planet where Denobulans, 2 Denobulans, the same race as Dr. Phlox from Enterprise, they're doing something discussing the differences between Ractogino and human coffee when they are ambushed by a Mugato, a giant white albino horned ape. So back on the Cerritos, they are called to Frylon 4 to investigate the Mugato, who is not native to the planet. Apparently another animal control mission that they've been sent on. As they are headed to Frylon 4, Sam and Brad, you know what? This is how I could tell that I'm really liking this show, is I'm not even calling them by their last names anymore. Most of my notes are like, except for Tendi, because I forget Tendi's first name. I just like calling her Tendi. Everyone is first names. So Sam and Brad are playing diplomats, where the object of the game is to be mutually dissatisfied into compromise. They take a break, head up to the bar to get another round from Otis the bartender, and Otis tells them that Mariner is a black ops murder machine whose previous ship lost a lot of their. No, he doesn't tell them, but it basically says Section 31 Black Ops Starfleet spy, and Brad and Sam are understandably freaked out by all of this. Meanwhile, in sickbay, Tendi is still shooting for Dr. Tiana's good favor and is assigned with completing some crew biometric scans. This is like the C plot, maybe. Brad and Sam preparing to go on an away team mission to investigate the Mugato, and they discuss the pronunciation issues, and they check over Mariner's service record, and they find out that half the crew had been reassigned, and they are curious as to why Mariner herself has been bounced around so many places. Shax, who is still alive, leads the away team to track the Mugato through poo. Continuous poo.
Why does he keep eating it?
Bajorans are different breeds of cat. That's all I can say. They're trackers.
Cats are cute. They don't eat poo.
Oh, we'll get to cats later. So anyway, the team find an entire Mugato harvesting compound run by Ferengi. Old school,
yeah.
first season of Next Generation, whips and all, Ferengi. The Ferengi have a dampening field, and the away team that stops the away teams from being able to communicate with the Cerritos. And so, knowing that they are sort of trapped, and Shax even says, with their backs to the wall, Brad and Sam are basically saying, Beckett could be activated. We have to get the hell out of here. So a brief altercation results in the lead Ferengi whipping the controls that open the cages to the Mugato. And as all chaos is going on with the Horned Apes, they see Mariner stab Shax and what appears to be eat the wound.
Yep.
So they get freaked out and they run away. They run away from Mariner because she's a bigger threat than the hordes of Mugato. Meanwhile, one of the smugglers who was there to try and purchase horns, tusks, whatever Mugato have, jumps in his shuttle and leaves the surface of the planet, while Brad and Sam run for their lives to get away from Mariner. So the Cerritos tractors the ship of the smuggler as it is leaving the surface of the planet, unaware of the fact that the smuggler had anything to do. They just wanted, did you see our away team? And says Captain Freeman, and the guy's not interested, but they decide to put a tractor beam on the smuggler's shuttle, at which point it starts to break apart, which was my second biggest laugh of the episode, I think. Was I told you to use the lowest the lowest setting on the tractor beam, and the security officer says, I did. I used the lowest tractor factor. I chuckled. I don't know. I'm a simple boy who likes rhyming. So anyway, meanwhile, back down on the planet, trying to escape from under the dampening field, Sam and Brad meet Patinky, an Australian Tellarite who has read 5 books on Mugato. He dies. Them. Sorry?
He wrote them, didn't he?
No, they say, hey, can we be in your next book? And Patinky says, oh, no. I haven't written books. I read 5 books about Mugato. I just thought I could live amongst them.
That's hilarious.
A grizzly man of sorts. So he dies horribly after thinking that he can walk in the Mugatu's presence. And after a brief chase, Rutherford and Boimler become privy to a gratuitous Mugato threesome.
That scene was just wow.
It really was.
That was very, very shocking. That was more shocking than Klingon sex. I'm gonna say that. Yeah.
Well, because they do that. Like Rutherford and Boimler hide in a tree trunk, and you can see the faces of the Mugatu through different openings in the trunk, and there's
the angles, and the thing with the horn.
Oh, well, yeah, because and I have this written down, where we go. Yeah, 2 of them fuck, 1 likes to watch.
Yeah, that's literally what happened.
I wanted to like reel that in for a more PG version, but I wanted to say that about Mugato. Yep. So afterwards, the Horned Apes, they collapse into post-coital bliss. Meanwhile, Tendy's doing her scans.
Right.
That's there are different ways, but she basically uses a tricorder and hilarity ensues. Mariner finds Brad and Sam, and they discover that Mariner was lying about being a Black Ops spy because she likes the intrigue, and also it kept jerks away because she didn't necessarily want to deal with anyone because she didn't really have friends. Everyone was kind of a jerk to her, and it's kind of touching, but also kind of weird, in that Rutherford and Boimler are like, no, maybe that's why we thought it was more believable that you were a crazy Black Ops Section 31 member and be our friends, because we didn't really think that you would be our friends if you weren't trying to do something to us. And so
it's kind of sad.
It is kind of sad. And Mariner is like, oh, guys, but it doesn't matter because the Ferengi are here.
Yep.
And they capture Mariner, who had found herself in a Mugatu trap. And that leaves Brad and Sam to save the day. So after going through meanwhile, back on the Cerritos, after going through the entire list of the medical scans that Tendi has to do, she finds out that the final one is actually Dr. Tiana.
I love the cat fights like that.
Well, and this is I have this written down. Cats are jerks, like most cats. A chase ensues like Alien and any other cat owner trying to get a cat to a vet. It is quite, I know, I'm not.
This one right here. He's a little jerk. I love him, but little jerk. Yep.
There you go. I'm still, if Christmas is coming up, I'm going to get you a little blue smock for your cats.
Oh my God, no. I don't dress up cats. It's mean.
It's mean.
I feel bad for them. I do their nails though.
Oh, okay.
See, it's got sparkly. I don't know if you can see them. Sparkly.
Oh
purple.
my.
Yes, very fancy.
Cats are jerks, but cats are also fancy, so I'll allow it. So Smuggler Jerkface has decided that they try and give him another shuttlecraft because his shuttle was destroyed by the lowest tractor factor. And he says, but all my stuff was in my shuttle. So he says, I want all of your stuff. So Captain Freeman says, yeah, you can have it. Which, all right, I guess it buys them off. And we are dealing with a second contact vessel. So if you want to play fast and loose with the rules, I guess that's Captain's prerogative. Mm-hmm. So with the away team captured back on the planet, Sam and Brad form a plan to diplomat the Ferengi. They create a bamboo cannon, which looks almost like the one that shoots the Gorn in the original series episode with the diamonds and stuff, which is really cool. But they're building that together while the Ferengi come up, and Mariner says, my biggest laugh of the episode. And it's like, you guys can just replicate stuff, right? You don't have to buy it. You're dumb.
Yes, that is, yeah. They're so dumb.
They are. So anyway, Rutherford and Boimler show up, and they present an opportunity to, instead of it being a Mugatu harvesting camp, it is actually going to be a Mugatu preserve, and there would be more profit in it. At which point the Ferengi say, well, that's going to take a lot longer, but the profit margins are good. And and Boimler and Rutherford say, well, technically you did capture a bunch of Starfleet officers, so if you let us go, we'll let you do this. And they both agree that it's not the best situation, but it is compromise. Yay. Which, again, Star Trek, compromise, negotiation, and diplomacy, I am in. Now, the only thing that really stood out at me, it kind of they were advocating for making a marine land or a sea world for Mugatu. It was a little like, okay, you can still have these captured Mugatu. I got over it as soon as once the Mugatu were allowed to roam free, they seemed fine with it.
Yes.
So anyway, it is discovered that the Smuggler Jerkface was a con man, and he was faking that his ship was destroyed. So the smuggler is sent back to the planet to be a Mugatu poo shoveler for the rest of his days. Mariner, Rutherford, and Boimler play diplomat, which Beckett is unaware of the fact that she's completely awesome at. And while getting another round, Beckett tells the bartender, Otis, that Sam and Brad are stone cold Mugato wrestlers. Do not mess with them. And the episode ends, and you know what? I think they learned something this time. I think that Mariner and Boimler and Rutherford did actually learn that their relationship is tighter than just being goof-offs together. And I think that Tendi did start to re-exert some of her previously unseen Orion nest. And
I like she's getting a bit more assertive.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's pretty badass she broke her arm just to get a scan too.
Oh yeah, no, I forgot about that in the chase. Yeah. And I thought that was a nice little sort of bait and switch in terms of she falls down and it's like, oh, my arm, it's broken. And then Dr. Tiana's like, oh yeah, no, I'm not falling for that. And then they show it.
Yeah, it was brutal.
It was a full-on broken bone through the
Nasty.
skin and everything, and it was nasty. But it was, I really getting to like these characters more and more with every episode that I see.
Same.
Remember last week when we were talking about this, and I was saying like I'm going in and I want to dislike it.
Yep.
That's gone away now.
Good. Yes.
So
I
just liked it. Yeah. And it wasn't like and again, I've said it before, it's not the jangly keys this time, although I noticed the jangly keys.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really enjoying the interplay between characters, and I'm sort of understanding this ship that is not necessarily pushing out into the final frontier, but cleaning up after the first contact ship.
Yeah.
Which is, for a comedy, it's doing well. And also there was graphic violence and hardcore sex in this episode.
Yeah,
so what are you gonna do?
Hardcore sex in this episode?
Between two Magatu while one watches, stroking his tusk.
Oh,
yeah.
Jeez.
The tusk action was a little bit. Woof. Wow, we're going there.
Wow. All right.
Now that you mention it, that's kind of weird that they would sell that particular part of the. Yeah. Anyway.
Do you guys want to jump over to the chat?
Yeah,
Yes.
let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
Tim Stock. Hey, Tim. How are you doing, man? And Sajuk. Ahoy, captains. We're all captains. We're like late stage. Yeah. Edge of Time says ahoy. Sajuk, 55 years of Grand Tales. Gotta love it. Absolutely happy anniversary to Trek. Sajuk says, I heard Spiner has fully retired from playing Data. Yeah. So it is more than likely that he'll be playing Alton soon. Edge of Time says nowhere to go from but up. Agreed.
Oh, no. Is he going to play Alton soon?
That's what the Trek.com or TrekMovie.com article. It is inferred. Although we don't know. We will see. They may do another flashback. Who knows? It could be lore.
All right. Cool.
I'm just making stuff up. I don't know.
No, it's fine. I didn't know. So
Sajuk says Annie as the Borg Queen is a good choice, I think.
It is a good choice. If you know her work, she's really good.
Yeah, she's talented.
And Sajuk says, gotta love graceful aging.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Thank you. Oh, that wasn't for me? Okay, whatever.
And the beat goes on. Salutes us Vulcan styles. Sajuk says, okay, who's your fave actor who's played a supporting role in Trek?
Tony Todd.
Tony Todd.
Yeah, Tony Todd.
In more episodes than I realized.
Yep.
The
The best.
Shondra, do you have one off the top of your head?
I still love the fact that Tim Russ started in Next Generation.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Good one.
And
Tim Russ.
I'm gonna have to stick with Susie Plaxon. Kalar.
Yeah, Kalar. Yep.
Dr. Solar.
Solar.
Female Q. I just love Susie. I love my Susie Plaxon.
So good. Oh, that's me.
Sajuk says, take me out to the Holosuite was awesome. Sajuk, we're buds. Love how Sisko overcame his tormented youth and overtook that Vulcan bully. Exactly.
Yeah.
But, your mileage may vary. I can see Chandra sort of turning into a small...
Oh, Chandra, lol.
Sajuk says, early human-Vulcan relations felt slightly racist. Oh,
Slightly.
quite racist. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I came back with it. They were called the Niners, right? The Niners.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
It is a baseball hat that I want. Sajuk says, but I'd have to think, personal opinion, Vulcans are jealous of humans. They rose to a great stature while keeping their emotions and passions.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. It has been discussed in terms of the envy that the Vulcans have in terms of overcoming.
Yes, in fact, in one of the later episodes of Enterprise, when the what's it called? I guess it's
the
like
High Command.
No, like the embassy. I guess we'd call it the embassy on Vulcan. The human embassy blows up, and these two guys are, the the Vulcan emissary,
Mhm.
for lack of a better term, ambassador, for lack of a better term, and the human guy, they're talking. It's like, well, what why do you not hate us, but why do you keep holding us back? And what is it? Do you dislike humans? And he says, no, it's you remind us of us.
Oh yes, I remember
And
Soval saying that.
Yeah, Saval says that, and Gary Graham is such a good actor in that. Anyways, but we remind them so much of what they were, right? And they've worked eons to not be that way anymore, right?
Yeah.
So
No, and it's true. It's true.
I know it's a long way to get to the point, but it's such that there's these episodes. Let me, if you don't mind, I'm just going to interrupt here for a minute. There's these really awesome episodes, like 3 or 4 episode arcs, especially in the last episode, in the last season. Thank you. They're so good. I mean, they're giving you everything we love about Star Trek in these condensed arcs. It's so good. It's almost like a whole season of episodes condensed in these little 3 or 4 episode arcs. And I'll tell you what, if you like Star Trek, please watch that. I know a lot of people gave up on Enterprise, but there's a couple of arcs in that last season that are so good. Like all the shit they do when they go back to Vulcan. Oh my god!
Yeah, the Forge.
Good, dude. Starting with the Forge, and it's like a 3 or 4 episode arc. It's so good, dude. And I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Maybe I'm just feeling a nostalgic for it, but I think it's some of the best Trek.
Wow.
Some of the best Trek.
Enterprise does sort of delve into the relationship between humans and Vulcans in a really, really interesting way. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you for letting me wax Rhapsodic.
Stagic says, "Oh yes, he was." Yes. Tim's talk. And
Tim talk.
Odo was the best.
Odo was the best, by the way.
Odo, you're out. Great times. Safe. Sajic, yeah. Lamau, Janeway's coffee. Her need for coffee was half of her gimmick. Half of it.
Well, I mean, they had to kind of bounce off of the tea for Picard, right?
Oh, for sure.
It can be the same.
Right.
Sajic says, Badgie, bring him back.
Yeah, he needs to be back.
Right. That's one of my favorite, the Relativity.
Nice.
It's a really good episode.
Sajic. Yeah, Tom Paris and his holodeck ideas. I built a pool hall in Paris in 1910. Harry, come with me.
What are the episodes when they go to Ireland?
I can't remember what most.
Because those were pretty good one-offs. They're not the best one-offs, but those are pretty good too.
Like the spirit folk, when they were getting all weird and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of the end ones, wasn't it? But like
when Janeway finds a lover.
Didn't she start off as the nanny or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, he was the bartender, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. I just remember him as being not good looking enough for Janeway, not charismatic enough for Janeway.
Oh, look at you.
I was very there was no chemistry. I don't know why they had that relationship because
I love the fact that you're so protective of Captain Janeway. That's badass.
It's just
fucking badass.
When you see a friend of yours start dating someone that you know you're better than,
and you're like, no.
You can do way better than this guy. That's why I felt bad for Chakotay. It was like, I gotta sit here and play second fiddle to this photon.
This
Jesus.
photon. All right.
Sajik says, I think all the Ferengi-centric
Oh, by the
episodes-
way, we're total. This is nerd stuff. We're totally
it's a
nerds.
Star Trek podcast. Of course.
I know. Come on, we're fucking nerds, man. Come on.
Sajik says, I think all the Ferengi-centric shows were meant to be cringy. Comic relief. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Oh, we didn't even bring up the one where there's Quark transitions. Sajik says, my favorite
Right.
Space Nine episode is the alternate future where Tony Todd plays Jake Sisko when his father gets unstuck in time. Absolutely. That is a heartbreaking episode. Heartbreakingly beautiful. Yeah. Sajik says, my second is Year of Hell, parts 1 and 2.
So Scotty and I were talking about maybe we should do, what's our favorite two-parters?
Oh.
Year of Hell is not bad. It's not bad. It's not my favorite, but it's not bad.
Well, let's look down the barrel of best two-parters for next week.
Let's go.
All right, let's do it.
Tough guy.
Wicked cool. Sajik says a Bajoran solar sails or a Bajoran solar sailor where they ended up traveling to Cardassia.
That's the Cisco and his son episode that I loved so
But
much.
that's what I'm saying. The Solar Sailor. If you guys ever watched Babylon 5, it reminded me of. I remembered the word earlier, but the one race's ships, they looked almost identical. It actually drove me a little crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I have to go back and check that out.
It's season 3, I think. It's called Explorers. Is that episode? Sajik says the Dixon Hill episodes were interesting. Yeah, I just like that era as well. And
Me too.
Yeah.
And I said
being
back,
from
I'm
South
like,
America.
I love the Dixon Hill stuff.
Mhm. Sajik says, poor Rutherford and Boimler. Yeah, but I think they had a time to shine this episode. Sajik says, when the Denobulans' faces blew up, it immediately reminded me of Dr. Phlox. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The fear response. They had to get bigger. It was great. Sajik says, Mariner's previous ship has supposedly lost 52% of their crew.
Was
and
it lice?
It was lice. That's why they covered it up.
Yeah.
Steve says,
Steve Foley said.
love Dr. Phlox, but one of his wives that is all about Trip is sexy. Well, and
Yeah. That episode was really cool, and she is really sexy.
it's really so strange when we find the attractive alien women and then you find out what they look like when they're human, and you're like, no, I liked you better in the Denobulan makeup.
Just so you know, the gag I just did was not against the women. It was against the poop comment coming up that I read ahead.
Oh, okay. I can't wait.
And it's not because of the ladies.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that clarification.
But sometimes it's cool to understand that, maybe it's okay to have multiple husbands or multiple wives.
no. And that was an exploration of just the different.
I mean, I can't do that. I suck. But somebody else could probably do that really well.
Well, Dr. Phlox at least.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Shax in the poop. Hanging
the poop.
That's what I was getting at.
I like how Mariner was like, we know, we're sure we're on the right path. You have to keep eating it. That Magatu three-way really heavy.
Did I skip this one?
Tractor factor, my new favorite phrase. It was my
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the tractor factor. I used it's the lowest tractor factor. Sajik says that the Magatu three-way had me cringing.
It was so bad. It was pretty cringy.
I just found it really weird. It was like a headboard banging against that tree, and it was like, oh my god, you're doing this? Tractor factor.
Literally, when he started stroking his horn, I was just like,
yeah. Don't
what
worry.
am I even watching?
I'm
Rule
sorry.
34.
Yeah. What? Sorry.
Tractor factor, the younger years.
Right. I was like, I didn't know.
Big smiles from Sajik. Sajik says Mariner was so touched by their paranoia. Loved it. Yeah. I thought it was, well, and also their sort of lack of self-esteem in regards. Too much poo. Sajik also said, I think you skipped one. It says that bamboo bazooka was full of finances.
Did I? This is the one I skipped?
That was it. Yeah, no, I got it.
All right. My fault.
No, you're good. Sajik says, I love how the smuggler got roped into shoveling poop as a punishment. Yeah, it reminded me of the guy in Trouble with Tribbles who had to clean up all the tribbles. It was great.
Yeah.
Sajik says, Tendi learned being assertive after breaking her arm. Awesome story. It was really cool.
Did she break it on purpose? Because I think she did.
She fell hard.
Well, that's interesting.
I kind of think she did it on purpose to lure the doctor in.
Possibly. Well, Orions are badass, and so is Tendi. So.
Yep.
And Sajik says, yes, Spiner will play Alton soon.
Nice.
And Shondra, I think this one's for you.
Yep. I know. Scotty says your name right. I never do. I can never say his name properly. I say
do I say it wrong?
I don't know.
Do I say Shondra wrong?
No. Sajuk. I don't know how to say it.
I don't know. Scotty.
Well, I'm not going to say it now. No, Sajik. Sajik. Thank you for watching. Yeah, now that it's Mugatu.
Exactly.
Right?
There's a million
Tomato.
Tomatoes.
Oh.
Does that take us to the end of the chat?
It takes us to the end of the chat and probably to the end of this episode.
Yep.
But I thought it was an awesome episode. I've had a lot of fun talking with you guys. I love talking with you guys about Star Trek, man. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It is a fun time. Thank you so much. Shondra, where can people find you when you're fighting the fantasies of the final?
Well, I play other games too, but yeah, I'm really into Final Fantasy 14 right now. I'm on Twitch at Shondra Live. Same with Instagram and Twitter. Shondra Live. Everything. Yeah.
Excellent. And
awesome. Look at this.
Sajik, thank you so much. Thank you for being here for the show. Appreciate it very much. We do have a couple of set to stuns featuring just Steve and myself. There is one with Shondra that'll be coming over to the network if you want to go and check out that. Today we're sort of being lazy and we're working through the week as to what we're trying to figure out for next week, but we are off from the Fantasmagorium show, but we will be back on Wednesday for Martini's Gadgets and Guns, where we'll be taking a look at On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And Steve, is there anything else that we should do?
Then on Thursday at noon we're going to do like we always do, a cult classic movie corner with Turget.
Yes.
Turget is awesome, and it's a really cool show about his kind of exploration about cult classic movies, and not only the movies that like he thinks are cult classics and he loves, but what you guys recommend for us to watch too. So it's really fun. And Scotty was on the last one. He's really good. Really good.
And I think it's going to be Big Trouble in Little China this week, right?
Big Trouble in Little China. Yep.
Outstanding. So, with that, shall we beam on out of here?
We should beam on out.
All right. Thank you so much. We will see you guys in the future, and hopefully I will have my view screen fixed.
That would be really good, because it sucks to not see you.
Stop it. Some people are happier.
I know. For Shondra and Scotty R37, I am Steve Foley. Have a great night, everyone.
Good night.